Mino Line Media presents the Business First Podcast.
Hi, all, and welcome to a new episode of Business First with Sonia Alleyne. I am your host, and today in studio is Joel Boissier, who's the Vice President of Business Development and Partnerships for a new fintech program that we're going to talk about today called CHIP. And CHIP stands for Changing How Individuals Prosper. Welcome, Joel. How are you?
I am doing well, Sonia. Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Yes, I'm happy to have you here. Before we go a little further, I'm excited to understand what CHIP is. It's a fintech program, a financial management community for financial professionals, but it's also for people who are looking for financial advice. And I know you were excited to join this organization, but please tell us a little bit about your background and why CHIP was so enterprising for you and interesting for you to join in this new adventure for you.
Yeah, that's a really great place to start, I think. So, a little bit about myself. I used to be a financial advisor. In fact, I still have my FINRA registration. So, I still have my Series 7, 63, 65, and my life insurance license. Those are all still active. So I worked in the past for Merrill Lynch as well as Citizens Bank as a financial advisor here in New York. Um, but then what I found is that in a lot of instances, there were not a lot of opportunities for people of color, particularly Black people, or maybe I should say there was a misunderstanding by people of color that they didn't have access to financial resources or access to financial professionals. And in some cases, it was partly true because a lot of times, in order to work with, especially the bigger banks and the bigger financial institutions, you need to have a certain dollar amount in order to qualify to work with a financial advisor. And so that's not to say that people of color don't qualify because we absolutely do. But then that also leaves a segment of the population kind of wondering, okay, well, who do I turn to? Where do I get advice? And then they are probably left feeling like, well, okay, it doesn't make sense for me to try to get financial advice. Let me just try to like either ignore this, put it off, or just give up altogether. And that's where Chip came in. I went to Martha's Vineyard this summer, just for a networking event. And that's where I met the founder of Chip. Her name is Dana Wilson. And at that time, I was still a practicing financial advisor. And she had told me about her platform, and I signed up for it. And I thought, hey, this is a really great platform. And then, I went back from Martha's Vineyard, I came back to New York. And I just got to thinking about how I can use my resources, my network, as well as my education and training to make a bigger impact. And it so happened that Dana had an opening, and we had a meeting of the mind, so to speak. And I left my last job to come work for her. And I'm currently the vice president of business development and partnerships. But in terms of what Chip does exactly, so we are an app where you can, if you are a financial advisor, you can find people who are looking for financial advisors. Because as a former financial advisor myself, one of the challenges I had was finding new clients. And on the flip side, if you're not a financial advisor, but you're just, a non-financial professional, a doctor, a lawyer, a teacher, a housewife, whatever, you're going to have questions about finances. And what Chip does, it gives you access to financial professionals. So that is not only financial advisors, but also tax professionals as well. And if you need to do something like get your will in order, we can also connect you with those professionals. And then I know I'm giving a lengthy answer, but there's one more thing I
No,
want
no,
to say
no.
on
It's
this.
fine. Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah. So the last thing I want to say on this is that when you go to the doctor for surgery, let's say for example, you have a team of people working with you. So you might have your anesthesiologist, you may have the surgeon, you have a team of nurses, and they're all working together with the common goal of getting you through that surgery and getting you better. Similarly, we find that with financial professionals, sometimes people have that experience too disjointed. So they may go to the tax preparer who will say, okay, I need you to do X, Y, Z. And then they go to their financial advisor who may say, I need you to do ABC. And both professionals do have the best interests of their clients at hand, but it's always going to be better if the professionals are communicating with each other. So I think the advantage that Chip has is that you can build your own financial team. And when you have your financial team, they're communicating with each other and they're also communicating with you so that everyone is on the same page. And that means that you would get the best financial plan moving forward. And once you have a financial plan in place, then you don't have to think about these things. You can focus on whatever it is you do. If it's doing your podcast, going on vacation, and then you can relax knowing that, okay, I have my financial team that I found on Chip and I can relax.
I like that you use the a medical analogy
Yes.
because one of the things I'd like to ask is what are some of the, or what would be some of the recommendations that you would make to someone who is looking for a financial advisor? A lot of times, if we use the medical analogy, people always say, you should get a second opinion. Or sometimes people are just comfortable with a doctor that they've had for a long time, even if the doctor may not be giving them the best advice. And so, in an area where uh, people are challenged, right? There are a lot of things that people feel about getting financial advice, whether or not it's, as you mentioned earlier, you know, I didn't know if I was somebody who qualified because I don't make enough money, right? Or I don't know if I have my things in order, right? So maybe I need to get my things in order before I call someone. Or I'm embarrassed by the conditions that I'm in. And so I don't want anybody to see this yet. Let me work on some other things. And then one of the articles on your on the platform is why it's important not to wait, and why you should start planning today. And so, what advice would you give to somebody who is struggling with any of those conditions and is obviously in desperate need of support?
That's another great question. So I'll end by what advice I'd give, but I just kind of want to zone in on one thing you said there, which is someone who feels embarrassed by their financial situation. And the reason I'm zoning in on that, Sonia, is because that is very common. And I think we live in a time where we're constantly comparing ourselves to each other. And I think
Mhm.
social media has a big part to
Yeah.
play in this because people always present the best of themselves. You might see your friend on
Mhm.
vacation, or your friend maybe just bought something new and shiny, and you're wondering to yourself, well, hey, I can't afford that. But the truth of the matter is that you really don't know what that person's balance sheet is at the end of the day. And a lot of times when we go through discovery with clients and we go through their finances, we find either one of two things: either that you're actually in a better position than you think you are,
Mhm.
and if you're really not in a good position, then we find, okay, there are ways that we can get you up to scratch. So I just want to, to everyone listening, do not feel embarrassed. That's the whole point of going to a financial professional in the first place. But in terms of what advice I would give to someone who's looking for a financial professional, I would say that it's important to, and I say this in quotation marks, to date around. Don't just go with the first financial professional that you meet. A lot of times, because you belong to a specific bank, or a specific, I don't know, financial institution, you might just be like, okay, well, I'm already here. They have a financial advisor. Let me just go with them. And, nothing is wrong with that approach per se, but then you haven't really taken the chance to see what else is out there. So get to know, make sure that your values are in alignment with the financial advisor. Make sure that that financial advisor has the required licenses and registrations for the specific thing that you want to talk about, right? So let's say, for example, you want to look at managing your investment portfolio. All right, you may want somebody who either is a CFP or maybe someone who has their Series 7 and Series 66, whereas somebody who only has an insurance license may be very well equipped to help you with the insurance part of your portfolio, but they may not necessarily be able to help you with that portion of that investment portfolio. So making sure that they have the required licenses. Um, Also, you want to make sure that you have frequent communication with your financial advisor.
Okay, I was
So
going
from
to
the
ask you that.
first meeting, make sure you set the expectation that, hey, I would like to hear from you 3 times a month. And I would prefer if you call me rather than email me. Or I would like to hear from you once a year. You decide how often you want to hear from your financial advisor, because you don't want a situation where they get the money from you and then you never hear from them again. All right. So I would say those are the three things that I think you should look for. And then, of course, I think it's great that you can download the Chip app and see, okay, what financial advisors are out there, what licenses they have, what registrations they have, what experience they have, and see which one kind of like fits what you're looking for exactly.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned the time frame, because that was a question I was going to ask. How frequently should you engage with a financial advisor? You mentioned, 3 times a month or once a
Yeah,
year. For someone who's
yeah,
green in this space, what would be a good balance for being engaged with a financial? And I'm sure it depends on, if you need a will done, it's going to be
yeah.
different than if you want someone to manage your financial portfolio or your investment portfolio.
There's no hard and fast rule for that. I would say it depends. So sometimes you may just need to speak to a financial advisor for one specific thing.
Mhm.
You might just need a consultation. It might just be a one-time thing, and that might be the end of the relationship. Or if you want the financial advisor to continuously manage your assets, then I would say once a quarter is a good rule of thumb, um, because I think there's so much happening every day in the financial markets.
Right.
To be picking up the phone and talking to your financial advisor every day, I think that's just going to leave you with a lot of anxiety. And I can say from my experience, having worked in the industry, a big part of my job is managing my clients' emotions. And so,
Right.
yeah. So, usually when your advisor comes up with a strategy for you, it's usually long term. So let's say, you invested some money today, a month from now, something happens. Really, there's no need to panic, because this plan is probably for 3, 5, 10 years out. So I would say once a quarter is good. But also, a good financial advisor would also reach out to you if something happens within that time frame. So let's say there's a big piece of news impacting the financial markets that happens on February 15th, and your meeting is supposed to be February 23rd. the financial advisor would reach out to you and say, "Hey, I know we're meeting on March 23rd or whatever, but I just wanted to call you and let you know this is what's going on. Remember, we had a plan, so there's no need, to worry."
Okay. And in terms of managing emotion, is there anything that when in the interview process for a financial advisor, is there anything that someone would say that you would recommend that a client could say, yes, that sounds like someone who might work for me? Or on the flip side, is there something that a financial advisor might say to a client that should be a red flag, that they should, you know, be like, maybe not this. This is not the person for me.
Yeah, so that's a good question. I think this is more for the financial advisor to pay attention to. So when we meet with a client in the beginning, we generally tend to uh, do a risk assessment, and that will tell a financial advisor how much risk a client is comfortable with.
We'll be right back.
So let's say a financial advisor met with you, Sonia, and you say, "Hey, you know what? I am not comfortable with risk at all." Then the financial advisor or the financial professional should not be putting you in any investments that take on more risk than your level of comfort. And so the reason I'm bringing that up is because once you can match the level of risk to that client's risk appetite, when the client gets their monthly statements, I think they will feel a little bit more comfortable seeing that, okay, the market dropped by 15% today or this month, but my portfolio only dropped by 2%. And that is because I did not take on that level of risk. So I feel comfortable with a 2% drop. But if you see the market drop by 15%, but then your portfolio in turn dropped by 30%, then you're going to be like, hey, what's going on here? I said at the beginning, I don't want too much risk. Why are you putting me in such a risky position? So I think that having that risk assessment at the beginning, making sure that the client is, aligned with that level of risk that they're willing to take on, that could help to manage the client's emotions, in the sense that they understand that, hey, there is going to be some level of risk, but this is how much risk we're going to take on. And then the other part is, this is how we are going to manage any risk that's going to come up.
There is, I mean, you talked about social media earlier. There are a lot of financial advisors on social media, and some of them are excellent. And I'm sure you know some of them are really reckless. And
Yes.
so, for folks who are followers of social media, how do you even know which ones are? Because everyone is convincing. And everyone will show you a portfolio of how well they've done, and they give you a backdrop of all the people that they've advanced and helped. How do you even make a good assessment of what to listen to and what not to?
One of my first bosses told me that, if someone really made that much money investing, they will not be on YouTube asking you to subscribe.
Okay.
Because if you think about it, right, they made so much money investing, then why do you need to subscribe to them so they can continue making money? They would probably be making their money some other way, right? Because YouTube is a lot of work, social media is a lot of work. So that might be the first red flag. The other thing I would say is that, fortunately for us here in the United States, there is an organization that regulates financial professionals, and it's called FINRA, FINRA. You can go to finra.org. I think FINRA means Financial Institutions Regulatory Authority. You can double check that, but just go to finra.org. So when you go to finra.org, there's a section called Broker Check. Or you can even just Google FINRA Broker Check, BROKER, check, CHAECK. and you can put any person claiming to be a financial advisor in there. So if you put my name in there right now, you will see that I have specific licenses. You will see the states that I'm licensed in, but you will also see that I'm currently not working for a financial institution. So as of today, I, Joel Boissier, am not acting as a financial advisor for any company because I left that job to work for Chip, right? But let's say I had a YouTube channel and I'm making these bold claims. If you don't see my name on there, then you know, okay, I'm not following the rules of FINRA. I don't have any licenses. Should I really be giving you any advice? And just to add on to this, if you have a financial advisor that you got through a financial institution, you can see on FINRA a lot of information on them, where they went to school, the licenses, the states, but you can also see if there have been any client complaints. So any kind of misbehaviors that a financial advisor may have had in the past, it kind of follows them so that clients have that level of transparency as they say, okay, this is somebody trustworthy. This is somebody who has been in the industry for X amount of time. This is somebody who has no client complaints. This is someone who has the licenses. So this is someone that I can trust.
There is a lot of content on CHIP. So for people who are interested in CHIP, there you also have one-on-one coaching. You have a team of experts, which you mentioned. You also have exclusive tools and resources. Can you speak to some of the tools and resources that are available?
Yeah, so actually, one of the resources we have now is called WTF. WTF means it means wills, taxes, and finances. So it's an accelerator for small businesses. And we have a cohort that's ending right now. So we have a new cohort coming up soon next year. So if you are a small business owner, you know, you can get into the WTF accelerator and just learn about, you know, how to manage your business from a financial point of view, how to work with financial professionals and make sure that you have things in place for your business. In fact, next Tuesday, which is the 16th, from 7 to 9 p.m., we will be having one of our a WTF closing event. So if anyone is interested in joining, please go to www.chipprofessionals.com and look up the WTF accelerator. So that's just one of the resources we have. And we do have a lot more things in the pipeline that will be coming soon, and I'll be very happy to share with you.
Okay, all righty. And the accountability support I thought was also very interesting, and I guess it's because it's an app, right? And so although you have the one-on-one coaching, what
Mhm.
is the accountability support like?
Yeah, so one of the things that we found is that a lot of times, you know, people you have different kinds of individuals. So you have people who you can just give them a plan and they can take it and run with it, make sure that they implement everything in the plan. Or you may have some people who you may need to check in with them from time to time. Make sure that, okay, did you go over the budget that we said we would do? You know, did you follow the budget? Did you make these tactical moves? So the accountability support really is a financial professional checking in with you, or if you feel like you need a financial coach to like maybe hold your hand and walk you through a process, those things are available as well.
Okay. And you mentioned this at the beginning, but this is also a platform for financial professionals as well.
Yes.
So this is a platform where you can find a financial professional, but you can also, as a financial professional, find clients. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yes.
Okay. All righty. Um, and so what are you looking forward to in 2026, particularly in this climate where there's so much uncertainty. Like you said, the markets are wildly unpredictable. And what is it that you expect a company like Chip will offer to the market, particularly as we go into 2026?
Now, when you say the market, do you mean the financial market?
The financial markets, yeah. I mean, well, the financial markets, the employment market. I mean, like
Hmm.
everything is currently pretty unpredictable, particularly as we go into 2026. People aren't, there've been tons of layoffs, so people are concerned um, about how they're spending. But businesses are also concerned. You have people who are starting businesses because of layoffs, and of course the financial markets have been
Yeah.
just unpredictable. And
Yes.
so, uh, as somebody, as either a company that's planning to become a little bit more stable, or for someone who wants to start a shoring up their finances, what would you offer to someone who is in either one of those categories in 2026 as we enter the new year? um, what is Chip going to be offering for either one of those individuals,
Mm, yeah, that's a great
business
question.
or professional?
Hmm. So we at Chip, we're not acting as financial advisors. So we're not going to be giving financial advice, nor are we going to be predicting what the market is going to do. What we are doing is connecting you with financial professionals, so that you can build your financial team. So for businesses, I think the WTF, World Taxes and Finance, WTF Accelerator is a great place because we really, a lot of sometimes small businesses, they don't know who to turn to. They don't understand, okay, where do we even start? So that's one thing that we have right now that we will continue into 2026. Um, we had our first chip chat last week or last 2 weeks, and that is more catered towards individuals. So we will be continuing that in 2026. And just to give you a high level overview of what that is. So that first chip chat coincided with the blackout. I'm not sure if you're aware of what that is, but it's often said that the black dollar is very powerful,
Mhm.
but unfortunately, some studies say that it doesn't stay within our community
In our
for a
community.
very long time. And there was a movement online to encourage African Americans to
Right.
not spend any money during the
Black
Black
Friday.
Friday into Cyber Monday
Right.
sale.
Mhm.
Right. So we had a chat, we call it a chip chat, around that time, just talking about, what we can do to keep money within the community. We had it at a black owned business here in Brooklyn. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Brooklyn Tea.
Absolutely.
Yes. So that was
Brooklyn
our
Tea has a
first.
great, yeah, has an
Mhm.
interesting history. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. So that was our first one, and we're going to be having a lot more next year. So look out for those. What we plan to do is partner with a lot of Black-owned businesses to have these talks for individuals, just so that they understand not only about finding financial professionals, but also just understanding the basics of, how do you even begin to start financial planning. And I think those are two of the avenues that we're going to use to assist not only small business owners, but also individuals.
So please tell us how we can. I know you mentioned the website again, but if you could mention that, the website, and how we can stay in contact, all of your socials, so that we can engage in the chip chats and the WTF sessions, because
Yeah.
that's national, right? Although, I know you were doing some of them locally here in Brooklyn, but the program is national.
The program is national. The Chip Chats are also national. We will be having one in LA soon. I don't have the information off the top of my head, but once I have that information, I can share it with you and you can share with the
Okay.
listeners. So the website for CHIP is www.chipprofessionals.com. If you want to reach out to me directly, you can email me. That's my first name, Joel. That's Joel. So Joel at chipprofessionals.com. And if you want to follow me on LinkedIn, it's just my first and last name. So that's Joel, Joel. And my last name, Boissier, Boissiere. So I'll be happy to connect with anyone who wants to ask additional questions or just wants to talk.
You're in charge of partnerships. So what type of partnerships are you looking for?
That's a great question. So we are partnering with a lot of companies, like with their ERG arms or even their HR arms, because a lot of people throw the bulk of their money into their 401k, and they don't necessarily understand how should my 401k or how is my 401k integrated with the rest of my financial planning. So we have had some success working with HR company, not HR companies, but some companies through their HR
ERGs.
solutions
Okay.
to explain that to clients. A lot of the Black ERG groups as well. We have been doing talks with them. So we had a talk uh, last month with TikTok. We had one with Betterment last week. So those are the kind of partnerships that we're looking for. And we're also looking to partner with small businesses, especially Black-owned businesses, just so we can get people together, have conversations, get a better understanding of, what people need from financial professionals. So we can in turn share that with financial professionals and just make sure that everyone is, growing together financially.
Okay. Well, thank you, Joel, for stopping by and sharing your expertise and insights. And we'd like to have an ongoing relationship with CHIP because financial education is an important part of the information that we're providing here. And so, thank you.
Yeah, I would like to thank you as well for having me, and I would love to be back on soon.
Thank you all for listening. We'll be back again next week with another great guest. Take care.
The Business First podcast is hosted and produced by Sonia Alleyne. Executive producer Ken Johnson. Find the Business First podcast on Apple Podcast, Stitcher, Spotify, Odyssey, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, TuneIn, or wherever you get your podcast. On social media on IG at business_first_podcast. Follow the Mean Old Line Media Podcast Network on IG at Mean Old Line Media. Get the Mean Old Line Media app in the App Store or Google Play. The Business First Podcast is a Mean Old Line Media production.